Each and every Saturday. Look, it's on your dial on your dial. 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Each and every Saturday. WETV 100.1 FM, the Celebrity Hype Man with the community connection and heat. Right here on Chattanooga's #1 radio station, presenting out inspirational talk, education, jazz, and community news.
What's up, y'all? This is your man, Celebrity Hype Man. It's another Saturday, the first week of July. Y'all know my birthday going down. I'm the hottest thing popping. 4th of July, another year. The Lord will let me see in 2 more days. If it's the Lord's willing. Lord's willing. Y'all, it's been great. Don't y'all know it's a hot day outside? Y'all be careful out there. The Tennessee Highway Patrol, they are out there. Don't forget, you know I'm running a special at my bundle company. All-Star Bundle Company. I told you, if you go to jail this month, everything will be half price. I'm cutting deals. You won't have to pay no more money. I can do this because I'm the owner of the state. I'm the owner of the blood company. I can just do this. What I do to help my community. So y'all be safe out there. All this gun violence, y'all put the guns down. Let the fireworks have the fun tonight. But listen, y'all, I got a special guest on my station today. I'm gonna cut a lot of stuff short. I'll get for real down and dirty. Y'all know what I do. And I feel pretty so out all the celebrities I don't work with around the whole world as I travel the world. This is one kind of special to me because as long as I've been living on this earth, going on 44 years, I've never seen a black man that took the run for governor of the state of Tennessee. It is like head of the state. Y'all see that movie with Chris Rock? It remember head of the state. Man, it's a dream country. And I just feel honored. And just like I told him, he could do 1,000 interviews, but it never be an interview like Celebrity Hype Man. And the way I feel like, because I win awards, this is what I do. And I travel the world doing it. But hey, y'all, I hope you get governor. But I need y'all to get out of y'all, how can I put it? Out of y'all selfish ways. To get out black, white, poor white folks. I'm gonna keep it real. We need to get out the country mountains, them hit towns, and put this man in here. Y'all see what they do in the state of Tennessee. It's hurting y'all black folks. Y'all ain't gained nothing. Y'all ain't did nothing. Y'all in the same predicament y'all was 4 years ago. Now tell me if you raised or not. I'm telling you, I've been dealing with this foolishness. I'm tired of dealing with this foolishness. You know, it was $71 million come from the governor's office in Nashville to hit Chattanooga for the Alta Port development, and nobody black in Chattanooga got none of that $71 million right here. So hope this governor right here can listen to us and hear our cry. It's homeless going on. Young black men getting incarcerated in the state of Tennessee for crimes they didn't do because the police and the justice system don't look at both sides of the story. Enough is enough. So today, I'm going to let Mr. J.B. Smiley, he's on my show. I'm going to raise the bar. Mr. Smiley, hey, man, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, brother.
Man, it's good to have you on the show today, man. It's just an honor to see a black man. I'm telling you, 44 years, I ain't never seen it, so this is history to me.
We're going to make history not only just by me putting my name on the ballot. We're going to make history two times. We're going to make history on August 4th when the state of Tennessee nominates the very first black person to be major part of nominee for governor. But we will also make history again on November the 8th when I become the very first black governor of the state of Tennessee.
Okay, so before we do all that, tell me a little bit about yourself. Because everybody say, man, where does butter come from? I'm telling you, I know I'm a bail bondsman. On the butter, so I'm making a bond the other day. I go past the jail. I see a black man sign right there by the jail, by the 7-Eleven. I'm like, who's this guy? Where he popped up out of? I call my head of security, boy, right? There's some over there. I'm like, man, who's this guy? I don't know this guy. And Tony Boston don't know you. I'm just be honest with you. That's the way we get down.
Absolutely.
I get a lot of numbers right. So I did my investigating in some kind of way. I don't know what happened. Somebody called, text me on Facebook and say, hey, we heard about your show. We'd like to be on your show. I'm like, who are you? Because it's like God has sent you. It was like a God move. So tell me, what do you do to make people want to vote for you as a governor? First of all, where you from?
Straight from Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee. I know it's hard up there, man.
It's hard. It's hard, especially being a young progressive person trying to implement change in the community that has not seen progressive change for quite some time, but we've been able to get it done.
Okay, so what is your job? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, every single day I wake up and I help people solve problems. And the way that I do that, I'm a lawyer by trade. So when you talk about bonding, I say, oh, yeah, I'm familiar.
So you're a criminal lawyer?
So I tried to do criminal law for a little bit, and it didn't necessarily work well with my politics. So right now what I do is I work with small business owners and those individuals drafting contracts, helping them when they're either trying to collect or helping those individuals who've been wronged by small companies to recover the things that they want.
You know, just sound like I watched that Big Crump thing on Netflix today. You sound just like him, man.
Well,
you're going to be a millionaire one day.
From your mouth to God's ears, and we reclaim that.
No, you're going to be it, because you already say you stole a small business, help them get money, because in Tennessee, black folks don't have man, we don't have no fight.
Absolutely. So, just talk about on a grand scale. Think about this. $52.5 billion. That's the amount of the state's budget. But if we look at the amount of the state budget, black people make up 17% of the state's population. But if we break that number down a little bit further and determine how much money black businesses receive in the state, I would actually guess, but you probably wouldn't get it right, but less than 1%. That's not equity. We talk about how do we level the playing field, how we put people in a better position. We have to start by pushing equity across the state, whether it's contracts with the state, whether it's how we treat women. We have to push equity, we have to push fair laws. And, that's what my administration is about. That's what's embedded in me in my course, trying to put people in a better position.
Man, you be God sent to be helping these small businesses. I mean, black people. That means you never. So if you're a convicted felon in the state of Tennessee, can a governor kind of?
Absolutely. So what I explain to people all the time is you have to understand the role of the two different branches of government, three different branches of government. You have to understand there's a legislative branch, the branch that create laws. You also have to understand that there's an executive branch, meaning the government who enforces those laws. But the way the government can help with folks being disenfranchised, we can push automatic laws in place that allow once a person has paid their debt to society, be fully implemented and back into society. I mean, they're restoring, receiving all of their rights again, whether it's voting, whether there's gun rights. But there's things we can push in place, and we can champion those laws. We won't be the first state to do things like this. We'll probably be among one of the last states. We can create progressive change in a society in which everyone is treated fairly if we have the right person sitting in the governor's seat.
Well, because a lot of people. Where I grew up, I come from Memphis, I come from Memphis, and a lot of my people right there got felons, and they can't do a lot of things, but they're good guys. They just made one mistake in their life. I feel like Jesus forgave you. Why man can't forgive you?
Because and I'm gonna be very honest with you. It's not about forgiveness because they understand that our world is changing. We're 49th in felon disenfranchisement. That means we're one of the worst states in the country when it comes to once folks have paid their debt to society, they're never being able to get their right to vote back. The reason is because they understand that once we allow people the right to vote, the folks in power now will no longer be in power. Because we're headed in a direction which is completely opposite of where we're now. We're headed back. And that's a problematic.
So how we gonna fix this, Mr. J.D. Smiley? You run for governor. I want to do all I can. And what can you give the people, man? Like, okay, another thing I got a problem. I had a problem like 3 weeks ago. Of course, I had 2 kids out of wedlock.
Okay.
I didn't do it the Lord's way. I ain't gonna lie to you. I would did the Lord way. I probably been married, everything. But my heart still goes out to the community for these women who have babies and don't want it. You know what I'm saying? They think they want the babies right then, but then they don't want it. I don't know how it's going to affect you, the campaign, but I just want you to keep it real with me. Because the people that's going to vote for you, I want them to be real with you also. So what about this abortion law? I don't understand it. You're going to explain to me, is that biblical?
So if we talk about, the abortion laws, the fact that women have lost, what I would consider foundational and fundamental rights, it opens up another can of worms. I'm going to briefly talk about the abortion, but I'm also talking about what's coming if we don't go out to vote. So right now, what the Supreme Court has said, Supreme Court said, you know what, we're going to allow the states to choose what they do as it relates to abortion rights. So what happened in the state of Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee signed what he called the treaty law. Treaty laws within 30 days essentially ban abortions in the state of Tennessee. So the Supreme Court did ban abortions. Our governor, Governor Bill Lee, banned abortion. So I want to be real clear. We know who the enemy is. We know who doesn't believe women should be treated fairly, and it's Governor Bill Lee. So what the governor can do, the governor can champion laws that allow or potentially codify a woman's right to choose. We should be making it a law that women in this state have the full bodily autonomy to do whatever they choose to do. Because truth, if someone came and told me I had to get a vasectomy, I don't know if I'd be so happy about that. We shouldn't be trying to control or police what women do with their bodies. But in addition to that, there's some things that we can do on a local level. And I'm going to speak specifically to Chattanooga because y'all need to put some pressure on your council members. Y'all need to put some pressure on your county commissioners. Because what you can do is you can decriminalize abortion. The way you decriminalize abortion, you say, you know what? I know that the state government said that abortion is illegal in this state. The local government can say, you know what? We're not going to allocate any police resources. We're not going to investigate those crimes. And if we don't do that, if no one is investigating, we're not allocating resources, no one is criminalized. No one is charged with the crime. Those are the things we have to do to fight back against this oppressive regime. But in addition to that, I think people need to pay very close attention to what is about to come. Because it doesn't just stop with women. If you look at Justice Clarence Thomas, dissent, he said the next thing is same-sex marriage. Right after same-sex marriage, he says contraceptive. Right after contraceptive, there was Senator McConnell, Senator McConnell, and then there's another senator out of Texas who said Plessy versus Ferguson. Plessy versus Ferguson is the case that gave us, that created a school system in which black, brown, and white people can go to school together. They are trying to push an agenda that separates black and white people because they don't want to give us resources. We know what's at stake. All the things that we hold dear are being attacked. It's not just women's rights. It's not just rights for the LGBTQIA community. It's rights of every individual to freely associate with whomever they so choose. They are coming for us, and we need someone who's going to say, mind your business, push back against all of those, uh, disheartening laws, say, this is what's important. And I want to treat everybody, regardless of your race, regardless of your socioeconomic status, regardless of your sexual identity, your sexual preference, the same way. And that's the way that we should be treating people.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said about Rick. I got a lot of white friends too.
Absolutely.
I got a lot of them because what I do, I cater to them. I got a lot of white friends. I love white folks too. I mean, I'm just keeping it real.
Y'all love everybody. Yeah.
I love. I'm a people person. I'm a businessman, so you're a businessman. That dollar green, no matter about what color you are.
Absolutely.
So we got to help everybody out. The Bible, Lord Jesus Christ, we got to help everybody out. We just don't want to. So, as across the state of Tennessee, this homeless thing, no guy, right? They coming from Atlanta, Georgia. They coming from Detroit. I know because I talked to Louisiana because of the hurricanes down there. What are we gonna do about this homeless in the state of Tennessee? It's people sitting on the side of the corner, man, with signs. And I'm like, man, if I can help all the people, I will. By being a God-fearing man, I want to help everybody. I don't know what this is in my heart. But man, as the governor, if you're going to be the governor of the state of Tennessee,
you receive that word.
And I mean, got to because I can't play with this thing. We got to get you out there. We got to get to the bowl. What would you do about the homeless people? Because the homeless people get $738 a month for the government. If you don't work, you go to the Social Security Board and sign your name on a paper, and you get a check and food stamp. If you didn't know, you can't. But when they get their money, they have them do drugs. We don't have enough resources. We don't have enough programs for people like that look like me and the poor white folks. We don't have enough programs for them. But I want to clean this state up. The state is dirty right now. And if you can do that, and then take us back and do what we got to do, I mean, what would you do about it?
Well, let's talk about what this current administration has done. This current administration, they are not giving people a leg up. What this current administration has done, this current administration has been intentional to pass a law that has essentially criminalized homelessness. Not only do they criminalize homelessness, and I'm going to be very brief with what the law says. The law says if you sleep on public grounds, you will receive a Class E felony. So they're not only criminalizing homeless, they're making it, they're disenfranchising people by attaching a felony to someone who's experienced a very hard time in their life. But the easiest way to address homelessness in this state is doing the simple thing that, we all were told as kids. When someone is down, you give them a helping hand and you pull them up. We are allocating in this fiscal year over $300 million. We're putting it, meaning the state of Tennessee, we're putting it in a rainy day fund. The rainy day fund is the money that government does not spend, essentially sits in the bank year after. We're putting over $300 million in this fund. The easy thing to do to address homelessness, you take some of those funds and you say, you know what, I'm going to provide housing for those folks who are experiencing homelessness. Because a lot of people are on those streets, not by choice. They're on those streets because they're experiencing mental health crises and they're experiencing hard financial times. We have to be intentional about putting people in a better position. But the truth of the matter is, this administration, Governor Bill Lee, they do not care about the least among these. And let's take it a little step further. Think about this. In the state of Tennessee, we have the fourth lowest median income in the country. We're number one in terms of bankruptcy rate. That means people are bankrupt. That means people aren't being paid enough. If you want to reduce crime, you want to put people in a better position, you have to start paying people a living wage. In this state of Tennessee, we're not paying the people enough. And we spend a lot of time talking about what's enough. Pay people a salary in which they don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs and still worry about if their light's going to be on, still worry about what they're going to do to pay their mortgage, what they're going to do to pay their rent. We need to pay people so they can work one job, and when they get to the age in which they want to retire, they can retire with respect and a peace of mind. Those are the things we have to do. We truly want to reduce crime, reduce the number of people on the street, and put people in a better position.
Wow. I see on this thing that you the universal pipe then.
Yeah, so I went to Tennessee Tech University in Cookville, Tennessee, played basketball up there
Oh, you
with a
did?
lot of good
Okay.
people.
So you was
And
in pipe then.
then I transferred my last year to the University of Pikeville, this in Kentucky, Eastern
Okay.
Tennessee,
Okay.
which is in the coal mines. It's a small school in coal mines that's growing. And that was 20 pounds ago when I could actually play a little bit of basketball.
Yeah, so you got the education, you went to We Made what,
William H. Bowen
yeah.
School of Law in Little Rock. That's where I received my law degree. And then I had a lot of experience. One story that I tell is I also had the good fortune of working at a law firm called the Rose Law Firm. You know, not being from Arkansas at the time, not knowing anything about Arkansas, got the job, and then I started here with this. He got a job at Rose Law Firm. You better thank God for the affirmative action. Is he smart enough? People assume because you look a certain way that you can't do certain things. But I had to quickly tell them, I'm here for a reason. What I realized why everybody was talking about the Rose Law Firm is because Rose Law Firm is a very prestigious law firm in the state of Arkansas. It's the same law firm that Hillary Clinton worked in while she was in Arkansas. So I'm getting
Wow.
this place where no one looks like me. And I said, okay, I'm blazing the trail for people to come behind me. Then when I left that firm, I worked in a firm called Buns and Rallimore and Boone. And I was the very first black lawyer in that history. And I'm always mindful that I may be, blazing the trail for someone from behind me. So every room that I walk in, I want to leave an impression and say, you know what? There are people that look like him that can come behind him and fill those seats because, everything we do, you always have to keep in mind that we're leaving a lasting legacy. We're leaving an impression. And it's 2022. We're still making first. It shouldn't be. I shouldn't be the first person that has a potential chance of becoming a major part of the government. But I'm going to run the campaign that lets everyone know that a person of color, a black person from Memphis, Tennessee, a black person from an impoverished community, a black person from two parents that grew up extremely poor can be supported, is educated, and will change the trajectory and the direction of this state.
What made you just wake up one day and say, I want to run for governor?
It,
I mean, what gave you the spirit to do it?
it wasn't necessarily about waking up. I had a conversation with a young lady, and she pretty much pulled my card. She said, to be honest with you, there's a lot of mediocre people who look themselves in the mirror and decide that they're going to run for a particular office. For some reason, our most qualified black people simply don't take that road. We need someone who understands what it's like to struggle, to sit in their seat, because they will be able to put laws in place that truly benefits a very diverse community. And I was talking about, you should make this change, you should make that change. And basically what she said is, it's your turn. You go make that change. So I currently serve half the city of Memphis. So right now, my district is about 325,000 people. I have the poor zip
How
code.
many people?
My district is about 325,000 people. Yeah, and I have the poorest zip code in the state, but I also have one of the most affluent zip codes in the state. You talk about communities with completely different demographics that I represent, and my job is to bring them together. But we have to have those different conversations. We talk about everything from systemic racism to how certain communities are over policed. We talk about everything about wage gap disparities to potholes in the street. But we have those conversations, but we also move the community forward. And that's the type of leader that this state needs. Someone who understands how diversity makes us better, someone who understands how the laws work, and someone ultimately with the skill set and knowledge to understand how to put laws in place that benefits every person that calls the state home, from the homeless to the homeowner, and every man, woman, and child in the community.
Okay, so around the country, around the nation now, police brutality
Absolutely.
is real big in the state of Tennessee. I want to let you know, a lot of guys are scared that they get pulled over going around Manchester. I'm just gonna go around that mountain, get the Manchester. You got 10 in your car, they're gonna pull you over and stereotype them. What can you do when you get in office? Like you said, because I believe I'm a struggle. What can we do when you get in office? Because all police ain't bad. I deal with them all the time. All police ain't bad. But for the ones that's bad out here just doing bad stuff, I mean, what can you do for departments as a governor? Are you over police departments or what?
So not necessarily over police departments, but what I like to explain to people, let me back up a little bit. There's a lot of candidates, they talking hypotheticals about what they would do. I want to tell you what I have done. In the wake of the George Floyd incident in this country, there was calls for change as it relates to police across this country. But I was able to do it in the city of Memphis, and I was standing out there by myself. Sometimes you got to stand alone until other folks get it. I was out there. I said, you know what? In the city of Memphis, I think we need Memphis Police Department transparency. The best way you can see when folks file complaints about excessive force You can look online and see exactly where it's going. When folks file complaints about misuse of body worn cameras, you can look online and see exactly where it's going. I was the only one talking about it, standing out there by myself. Some of my colleagues said, I'm a little too progressive. When it came time to vote, all 13 members of our body voted in favor of this transparency board. So I'm telling you what I have done, but I'm telling you how we can make change as the governor as it relates to these issues. This is what you do. And when the governor speaks, police departments across the state will listen. Let me tell you why. Just like if you speak in your business, everybody who falls up under you, everybody who will potentially benefit from your business, they're going to listen because ultimately you control the purse string. The governor in the state controls how the budget is implemented. Police departments all across the state receive funds from the state. If you receive funds from the state or from the funding source says, hey, I'm expecting these type of policy changes, you can get any policy change you want. If you want to see change in how we do independent investigations when there has been complaints about excessive force, we can get that done. But you have to have someone who understands how government works, understand the roles of government. I'm the only Democratic candidate in this race that has that knowledge. I don't have to call somebody and ask them what the law says. I don't have to pick up a book and learn about what an impoverished community is going through. I live there and I have the skill set to make things like that.
Wow. Hey, SJ. Hey, y'all made a commercial break, and after the commercial break, we'll come back with more with JB Smiley, see what he got going on. Hey, first black governor of the state of Tennessee, like head of the state, y'all better get y'all butt out there and vote. Let's get it.
What's up, Facebook? Hi, I'm Councilman J.B. Smiley Jr. I was raised by a social worker and a Bronze Star Army soldier. I know the value of hard work and having a healthy, supportive community. That's why I'm running for governor and fighting for a Tennessee that's truly inclusive and uplifts everyone that call it home. It's time that working class families have the help they deserve and need. Please donate whatever you have to give to help us create a better Tennessee, a Tennessee that is truly one that we can all be proud of. Whether it's $5 or more, we appreciate it all.
Man, Celebrity Hype Man, Tony Boston, and it's just like Mr. James Smiley. I got another question. So we got a lot of black kids in the upper the hood. I don't think every black child had the same right as other children in the state of Tennessee. I mean, I'm being like schools getting built. If you go around to different black areas, why schools don't look like they schools?
Well, when I talk about my upbringing, I always mindful of what my parents had to do. So Memphis. My brother was slated to go to Jeter Middle School.
And what's that? Yeah.
Jeter Middle School is in the what we would consider the hood. My mother understood that she didn't want her son to get those used textbooks. She wanted her son to have the very best. So we had to go cross town to a more affluent community to get the best. And that's problematic. Your zip code should not define the type of education you're going to receive. Your zip code should not define how involved your teachers will be. So what we need to do in the state, we need to make sure there's equity across the board. And a lot of times, it has to do with how we are funding education. Right now in the state, we are among the lowest, among the least funded education systems in the entire country. And it's all about priorities. If I look at your checkbook, if you look at my banking statement, you're gonna be able to tell that I love to eat, and that's gonna be one of the top things on my priority because I like to eat in my personal life. But in this state, we look at the state's priority. Education is near the bottom. We have to fully fund public education. And we're not fully funding public education. We're not even paying the teachers a salary commission with their work. If we want to have better education system, one of the things we need to do is we need to make sure we're paying teachers a wage that will keep them in the education profession. But in addition to that, we need to add probably another $1 billion in education so that we can come out the bottom of terms in education and move to a place where we deserve. We can't talk about children are our future if we're not funding education. It simply doesn't work. But right now, what they're doing, and this administration has been hell bent on destroying public education because it's not about children. It's about big business and big donors. And what happens, children are left behind. We have to be intentional on making sure that our public education system is fully funded. And the charter schools that we do have, we need to make sure we need to hold them to the same standards we hold public education to, public schools to. Because the ultimate goal is when when the students decide to graduate, they can go directly into the workforce with the skills necessary. They can go to vocational training with the skills necessary. And if they decide to go to seek higher education, secondary education, they have the ability to think critically to solve the problems of that institution. But right now, we're not preparing our young people. Right now, we're treating different zip codes differently,
Right.
allocating funding
Right.
differently. And one of my colleagues, and I mentioned today, Councilman Martavius Jones in Memphis, his favorite thing is every government has to understand that they may not directly be in the education business, but they are in the business of putting children in a better position. We need equitable distribution of resources, and right now our state is not doing that, and we have to make sure we have to be intent that rural Tennessee is receiving adequate funding, and also urban communities receive adequate funding. And we don't do that.
To me, hey, I'm in the media business. I'm in the media and the music business. Our state ain't doing that. I mean, bro, just be honest. Our black folks trying to have a concert. Be honest. Come state of Tennessee, they'll put more into country than they will to.
Well, they don't do anything fairly. I'm gonna be honest with you. This administration is not pro people at all. It's about who's calling the governor, who the governor knows. Let me make it real for you. All right. So I spent a lot of time talking about the state budget, 52.5 billion. If we look at their budget, and there's something called no bid contracts. No bid contracts, I mean, the entity is not putting a bid in, not being weighed against other entities. That means the governor simply giving the contract to a company because the governor knows this particular company.
Right.
In this state, that's what's happening. That's why you see so many elected officials starting to resign on the Republican side. You're seeing the governor currently under investigation for his no bid contracts. He's giving a lot of no bid contracts specifically to companies or friends that he knows. If we look at where we are in the education system with an entity called Hillsdale Charter School, the same charter school that's been in the news lately for saying the president for saying things like the teachers go to the dumbest schools and the dumbest type. You don't need a skill set to teach students. That's the type of school that we're bringing in, and this government is giving money to. This government is not in the business of doing what's fair. This government is in the business of doing what's going to line the pockets of his friends, and that's not right.
Right. And that's sad to say that because Democrats are losing out.
Absolutely.
They lose out. So how is it important to you? I understand you got to deal with Republicans. You come governor, you got to deal with Republicans. You got to deal with Democrats. You got to deal with independents. Now I love everybody. I'm a people person. I'm a hustler. I need Republican money. I need Democrat money. I need independent money. But you run as a Democrat. But when you get in there, I know you're gonna be for all people. And so how would you go into this first black man going down Nashville, what is it, 6 in Charlotte? 6 in Charlotte down Nashville. How would you feel? I mean, it's gonna be a great history, man. How would you feel? What were the first couple things you'll do when you get to make everybody happy? Because I know the first thing I'll say, man, you black, or you should do it for the black folks and all that. Man, I get over that. Black folks need to get out and vote. We need to get out and vote before we say anything. So that's why my job gonna be to get the black folks out. But what would you change drastically to make everybody happy? Because you are not God, you're just a man. But what would be the first couple things you do when you take office?
Well, let's start here. So I speak not just to Democrats. I speak to Republicans too. I speak to independents too. And I'm trying to put not just Democrats in a better position. I'm trying to put everybody who calls Tennessee home in a better position. And I have to explain that to people how we do that. And I go from health care to women's rights to education, the truth of the matter is, I believe our party is right on every single issue, and it's about us delivering the message in a way that people understand. When I was in law school, my law professor would always say, "It's plain English." Speak. I don't spend a lot of time talking about broadband access because it may not make sense to a lot of people. I say, look, over 500,000 people in the state simply don't have access to get internet service. That makes sense.
Right.
And we have to understand that. But let's get back to what happens when I'm elected governor. And this is the truth that I've accepted in leadership. You're not going to make everybody happy. You have to get okay with being uncomfortable. I'm okay with that because leadership is tough. You have to make decisive decisions. And one of my mentors would say, you have to be shrewd to get things done. But the very first thing I would do, and it's what any good business person would do, you figure out who you're working with. And I know exactly who I'll be working with. I'll be working with folks in the state senate, so I will meet with every state senator. And I know we have to be working with folks in the House of Representatives, so I'll meet with every state representative. I will meet with all of those individuals because in order for me to push any particular law, I need them to vote on it. So I would develop unique personal relationships with them. I will understand their passions. I will understand their pain points. And then the third issue that people don't really understand how important it is, understand what they believe their constituency wants. If you understand what they think the constituency wants, you can push real change. So meeting with them, and another thing that really affects inner cities, and I don't think we understand how it affects us. We have the third highest violent crime rate in the entire country. Tennessee has the third highest violent crime rate in the entire country. And that number significantly increased it when this governor went into a gun manufacturing plant, looked into the camera, smiled, and signed the permanent carry law into bill. Because what happens is that increased access to firearms in the inner city. When you're in close proximity with people, crime is likely to occur, especially when you talk about close proximity and impoverished communities. Crime occurs because if they don't have, they're going to go take. We have to increase opportunities, but we also have to be mindful of we need to immediately repeal permanent carry. And those would be the very first two things that I do because I understand the impact of having relationships have on getting good progressive legislation passed, like codifying women's right to choose and immediately repealing permanent carry. Those would be the very first things I do, in addition to champion for Medicaid expansion, because 800,000 people in this state simply don't have good access to health care. Right. 800,000, and let's be honest. Everybody does not fill out the census, so that number is probably closer to 1 million. If we expand Medicaid, we're cutting that number in half. Not only are we cutting that number in half, we're creating thousands of jobs. We're those folks who are experiencing mental health crisis, we're connecting them with health care. In addition to that, we are drastically improving health outcomes across the state, and that's how you put people in a better position.
Wow. And then another thing about this minimum wage thing, how can somebody live off $13 to $14, $15 the way the housing market going in the state of Tennessee? And right there in Nashville, the hotel costs $400 a night. You know, I know. No, this costs $400 a night. Then you got houses in Nashville. 3 years ago, used to be $80,000. They $260,000. Up in Hendersonville, you got houses that's $130,000. That's up there. That. So how people can't live no more, man?
Folks cannot afford. Let's call it spade a spade. These houses aren't intended for working class people. These houses are intended for the rich, the powerful. They're not intended for everyday citizens. They're not intended for the folks working 9 to 5. The truth of the matter is, this administration has been hell bent on sending us to the outskirts of our communities, although we traditionally live in an inner city. So what we have to do, we have to understand where we are. Let's go back. $7.25. When minimum wage was put into place, minimum wage was actually a living wage. That was a wage that was affordable. That said, okay, I can live comfortably for paying people here. But we've been in this same situation, the same minimum wage for years. And guess what happens? Inflation. Year by year by year. We need to establish in this state a living wage. And $7.25 is not it.
No, man.
It's not it. It's closer to $21 an hour. That's closer what what a living wage in the state.
Gas $5 a gallon now.
Man, I feel like gas $100 an hour. Shout out to Lynn Whitney.
I mean, just saying, so how do people survive? And then I know you in Memphis, man, where they say crime, or they say Chattanooga is like right behind them.
Absolutely.
Capital, so you got 300,000 people?
325,000 people.
So we get all the 325,000 people to vote for you.
Absolutely.
Then we come on down to Nashville, get 300,000 more. Then we come on down to Chattanooga and get some more. We can do this, can't we?
Absolutely. So the way it works, and whenever I go in Democratic spaces, they say, well, this state is red, it can't be done. I said, well, if you just look at the numbers, it's very possible. And I break it down city by city, or I break it down by age group. So city by city, if Shelby County decided to vote at about 50% rate, and we're currently voting at about a 20% rate. If Nashville decided to vote at about a 50% rate, and if Chattanooga decided to vote at about a 50% rate, we would never call the state of Tennessee red ever again. We would call the state of Tennessee blue. That's if we all three of those major cities voted at 50%. But let's break it down further than that. It's not just about those three major cities, it's about the entire state of Tennessee. 2.4 million people vote in the gubernatorial primary. This state has 7 million people. Of the registered voters, 1.6 simply do not exercise the right to vote. Let's break that 1.6 million people down. Because the difference between Democrat and Republican is about 350,000. Let's break that 1.6 of non-voting registered voters down. Three large groups. Millennials, that's my generation. The biggest voting base, 34. The biggest voting base in the entire country, millennials. But we're not exercising our right to vote. And I know for every millennial out there to listen to this that eventually hears this radio clip, is this. If you want to see some change in your community, if you want criminal justice reform, you want the state of Tennessee to stop passing truth and sentencing bills, laws that we've seen in the 90s that simply doesn't work, that lead to disparate impact on black and brown communities, you go vote. If you want the rights that you had yesterday to stay in place, to be reimplemented, you go vote. If you believe that Plessy versus Ferguson, that schools should remain integrated, you go vote. Like, these are the things that we have to vote for, because every right that we hold dear, this particular administration, this right-wing group, these extremist groups, they're coming for everything that we hold dear. So we have to go vote. So millennials, the next generation, Generation Z, they have to decide to go vote. There's a new crop of voters. We're not tapping into them. And that's our campaign is doing everything we can to tap into them. But then the last category, marginalized communities. And it's a lot larger than people realize. Marginalized communities, black and brown communities, but also rural Tennessee. If those communities decided to go vote, we're changing the state. And, a lot of, everywhere we go, people talk about, the history that we're making. The fact that I have so much support. The fact that people really think I have a chance to become the very first black person to become a major party nominee for governor of state history. That's what everybody talks about. But the truth of the matter is, that's not the only history that's on stake. That's not the only history at stake. The history that is at stake is we need to be codifying women's rights. That's history. We need to change how we are handling folks who have paid their debt to society and come out of prison. We need to implement automatic right restoration in the state of Tennessee. That's history. And I'm going to say something that may be unpopular among some people, but the majority of the Tennesseans agree with me. We need to be legalizing cannabis. We need to be legalizing marijuana, because what happens is we're spending a lot of time seeking out non-violent offenders of our law while we allow violent offenders to go free. But if we legalize cannabis, legalize marijuana in this state, we can provide money to fund education system. We talk about where can we get the money to pay teachers a wage commensurate with the work. Where can we get money to fully fund schools and make sure they're high performing? Legalize weed, legalize marijuana, and that tax revenue can be put directly in education. That tax revenue can be put directly into healthcare. That tax revenue can be put directly in expanding internet service across the state. These are the type of policies we need in the state. We shouldn't be targeting folks for choosing to use the substance that this earth creates. We shouldn't. We should be taxing it to make sure it benefits every single person that calls Tennessee.
And I noticed this about marijuana because a couple years ago in Murfreesboro, there was a little boy, it was Caucasian, little baby had counts real bad in Murfreesboro. They tried it all. The THC or the Delta 8. What's the difference between the Delta 8, Delta 6, Delta 9? I don't know. I don't smoke. I don't know nothing.
I don't know that either, but what I can tell you is this.
I mean, what's the difference? Because mamas across the state are trying to get the Delta or THC for their children that got counts. They're trying to legalize marijuana. So by us being a Bible Belt state, what's the hold up?
So I'm gonna see what the holdup is. It's the holdup with almost everything that you see across the state. It's about the dollars. The folks, there's a small group of people who trying to monopolize the market that they know is coming. Until they have everything in place to make sure they can monopolize it, they're gonna keep pushing against it. Because legalizing marijuana is coming. Because folks across the state see the benefits of it. Whether you want to talk about medicinal use, folks who are experiencing significant illness, relying on marijuana to relieve their pain, they see that. And folks who look take it another perspective, like me, saying, "Oh, there's a lot of funds that can be used to provide services to people across the state. Whether we're talking about healthcare, education, infrastructure improvement, we see the value of it." But there's a small fraction of people in Tennessee that says not yet. We do not have our infrastructure in place so that we can monopolize this market so that we can become richer. We don't want everyone in the state to get richer. We want to make sure that we control the power because we have the money. But my administration is about this. It's about being what's fair, doing what's right for everybody who calls the state home. So my administration will push for legalization of marijuana because we have to do that. We look at what's happening in Colorado. They legalize it, fewer people than us, but they're bringing in more money. They're putting more money in their education system, and we technically should have more money. We technically have more people, but we don't have that tax base because we're not thinking creatively about how we find funds. We need to be legalizing marijuana in this state, and we also need to stop. Police departments across the state need to stop seeking out those individuals who are offending for small amounts of marijuana. We're third in violent crime. Target those folks.
Right.
You go after people committing violent crime, then you're making a difference in your community. You're not just padding your stats. And I think a lot of police departments across the state are padding stats. And it's not necessarily the officer's fault, it's the policies that we allow in this state. And we have to push for those things. We need to focus on things that matter. And I tell people this, my role, my job is really to provide for the general welfare of these people. And if we lose track of the role of government, a lot of things start to fall behind. And we cannot, whether you're Democrat, Republican, black, brown, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. We have to understand that when my brother's suffering, I'm also suffering. When my sister's suffering, I'm also suffering. We have to be intentional about giving people everything they need so that they can truly have, this dream, this idea that Americans supposed to live, to pursue happiness. Right now, there's a lot of people that don't have the ability to pursue happiness because government is saying no. Women's rights were taken away. They don't have there's women in the state don't have the ability to pursue happiness because they lost something. Same-sex marriage, they're going to lose something. Contraceptives, they're going to lose something. When they decide to get rid of integrated schools,
Right.
we're going to lose something.
So you think it's going to happen very soon?
Well, just look at some of our leaders. Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Republican Party, he talked about the fact that Plessy versus Ferguson, which is the case that said we need to integrate schools, was wrong. That's coming up next. Clarence Thomas, justice on the Supreme Court, said we need to look at contraceptives. Like, these things are at stake. People have to understand if we don't get it right this year, we have about a 4-year window. And the reason I tell people it's a 4-year window, because that's usually how long it's going to take from the very first lawsuit to be filed to make its way to the Supreme Court. We have about a 4-year window. And for Tennessee, this is our window because this is our governor's race. Because right now, states have the authority to do whatever they want to. If you don't put someone in their seat who understands the implications of how important this decision is, we're in trouble. Recently, the governor's on TV talking about how dumb teachers are.
Right.
So for every teacher, to every child, you should be saying, this governor has to go. Because this governor doesn't even respect us enough. He's allowing somebody to tell the state publicly how dumb the teaching profession is, how bad of colleges they've gone to. If this governor don't respect us enough to say, look, that's not how we're going to work. Matter of fact, not only is this governor not saying anything, this governor is incentivizing, giving money to the individuals saying this, say, hey, come to the state of Tennessee. Set up your 50 charter schools to continue to push this ludicrous theology onto our students. This college, Hillsdale School, that's coming to Tennessee, is the same school that said Vladimir Putin is the preeminent leader of our times. That's the type of theology they're pushing on our students. This is the same school that considers Dr. Martin Luther King something other than what he is, which is a civil rights leader that changed a course of history. And another thing, and I'm just going to say it because I have a little time, and a lot of people talk about, my age, 34. Can a young man lead? And I always have to point their attention to a young man who was born in 29, died in 68, who led a movement in his 20s and early 30s to change the world. I'm talking about Dr. King. And then, for some folks who didn't pay attention to the civil rights movement, I make it more plain for them. I say, well, there's another man who became the state's attorney general at 31, who became the governor at 34. And I tell them it's Bill Clinton. And then for some of your biblical scholars out there, I know this is a gospel station, I make it a little bit easier.
No, go ahead.
The biblical scholars, I make it easier for you. There was a young lady who gave birth to the person who died for all our sins at a very young age. Her name is Mary. So I'm trying to make it plain for you. Young people have been leading change for a very long time. And then, sometimes I say, well, I want to understand. I want to understand how you can do it. So sometimes, as a young black person, you have to pull out those receipts. You have to give them your resume. So I say, I've been doing this for a while. I'm an attorney licensed in 3 states. I've been serving the Democratic Party for a long time. I've served as judicial counsel for the Young Democrats of America. I served as vice chairman of the Black Caucus of the Young Democrats of America. I served at the Shelby County Executive Committee. I served as the vice president of Shelby County Young Democrats. I served as treasurer for the Tennessee Young Democrats. What I'm telling you is I've been doing this for a while. I'm poised, I'm ready, and we will make change.
Well, I got the BC Award 3 years in a row. I got 2017, TMZ Award. I've been in magazines. This guy is qualified. Oh yeah, this guy is qualified. He knows talk. Hey, I'm convinced. I ain't gonna lie. See, a young man that's a lawyer at 34 years old, he's got a small business. You done been to Tennessee Tech, University of Piper, you done been to William Bowman, School of Law. You don't got what it takes.
Absolutely, got what it takes. And then I tell people, one of the things that I think sets people apart, and I tell people my time on the basketball court, it makes a difference. Just understanding what it's like.
Okay, you get down, can you hoop?
I can still play. I can still play a little bit. I don't move as fast.
Yeah, I got a friend named Regina Curtis. Ready to get to she's right there at UTC, still a Hall of Famer. She's from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. So when you go to her Knoxville, you need her. Trust me, I'm trying to put you in positions like a puzzle. You got to go through because guess what? You're a black man in the South. Like Bishop Walker said, I'm gonna pray for you, son. I'm gonna pray for you. But through God's grace and mercy, we can do anything. So what you gotta do is, and I ain't gonna tell you how to run your campaign because it's your campaign, but being a little older, being out here and seeing things in hit towns, because now being a band buzzer, I've been up in the sticks, I've been down low. So we gotta get some white folks on our team that love us and look just like us and say, hey, we're gonna push you. You got to put signs where people don't think you're going to put signs. That when we go to the casino, we go through the back roads.
Absolutely.
You got to put signs on the back roads. I just hate to say it.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
I hate to say it. We got a freeway going from here to Nashville, but it's some back roads that we take too.
You take the back roads to stay away from the traffic. Yeah. And I've been blessed. I tell people this. We've been able to run the campaign before. I've been blessed. There's people everywhere we go that get excited. I tell a story about visiting Sullivan County. That's a county where not too many people look like us. When we go there and it's a room predominantly people who don't look like me, and they're chanting my name. They're getting excited about this race because they understand what's at stake. It's not about my color. Let me tell you what it is about. It's about each and every person who calls Tennessee home. You have to make a decision. What state do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a state in which you can be free to live your life like you so choose? Or do you want to be in a state where the governor and the General Assembly is simply taking rights from you every single day? That's the decision. That's the decision you have to make on August 4th. And that's the decision you're going to have to make again on November 8th. And I tell you, I stand ready to change a lot of those things. I'm the most qualified. I'm the most passionate. I'm truly the only one that understands what it's like to struggle in this state.
I think I'm just a church made, say, J.B. Smiley makes Tennessee home. I mean, they're the kind of thing because you make everybody feel comfortable.
And that's their job. And I don't understand why some of these elected officials forget that your job is to make everybody feel like this is their home. And my mentor always talks about a brain drain where young people get their education and never come back home. I want every young person to say, I don't want to live anywhere in the world but Tennessee. It's because this governor understands. This governor is giving us opportunities to not only work, not only live, but to thrive. And, it's our goal to create a better Tennessee.
Man, before we got this era, I want to hear you say that thing again. See, I'm a hype man. This is what I do. Don't forget, y'all, we'll be in Nashville tonight. It's going down with the Zap Band, Mars Day at the time. Bridgestone Arena show started at 7 o'clock. But look, before we got with the era, just say what you just said a minute ago. Give me your, it's like you're a preacher. I want to hear this again. I want to hear it again. So you're 34 years old. They think you're too young. And what? Let's
So
get it.
sometimes when you're a young person, they try to put you in a category. Sometimes you got to pull out your resume. You got to pull those receipts. And sometimes you got to tell them, I served as judicial council for the Democratic American. Served as vice chairman of the Black Caucus in the Democratic American. Served on the Shelby County Democratic Party. Served as the vice president of Shelby County General Counsel of Tennessee Young Democrats, and the treasurer of Tennessee Young Democrats. I've been here. I've been able to do it. Been make things happen. But also tell a friend to tell 10 that in 2022 we will vote JB Smiley in. Don't forget to visit votejbsmiley.com.
Man, y'all go vote JB Smiley in, man. Y'all go, hey, y'all go vote JB Smiley in, man. It's it's crazy. Hey, this man JB Smiley. Anything that you want to say, you got time. I give you about 2 or 3 more minutes. Hey, it's your show. Your Celebrity Hype Man show. When this show is over, you might think, oh, nobody didn't watch this show, man. You know what? The views I get just in 30, 40 minutes on the Saturday around the whole world. Man, we're going to put y'all in here, wherever y'all in Tennessee. So what do you think about the people there? How can they get their rights back to vote? A lot of people say, well, I can't vote. I want to vote for that young black man, but they won't let me vote. I mean, what can we do? Is there a system out there?
Absolutely. So in every, so there are certain violent felonies in which, based on the laws we have in the state, folks aren't able to get their rights back to vote. But there's a lot of people who fall in the category that they can get their rights back to vote. There's in Memphis, there's a place called Memphis Area Legal Service. They host expungement clinics. But there's a legal service clinic in almost every large county in this state. And some of the folks in rural Tennessee, they may have to travel because we don't do right by people in the state. You can travel, you can get in touch with those legal service clinics and visit those expungement clinics, and they will walk you through the process. Because this is an important election. It's not important because it's about me. It's not important because it's about any other candidate. It's important because your rights are at stake. If you want to live in your zip code for the rest of your life and worry about if your school is receiving adequate funding, this is your campaign. If you're worried about this current administration ignoring climate change, this is your campaign. If your concern is criminal justice reform, this is your campaign. If your concern is the fact that you just lost a right that's deeply held personal to you, this is your campaign. And if you're just excited about the possibilities, what it's like to have a millennial in leadership in this state, this is your campaign. Because what I can tell you for sure, this governor doesn't care about you. This governor doesn't care about people. He's only concerned about big dollars and big dollars.
This is your campaign. This is campaign. This is your campaign. And don't forget, by me inviting you to the show, I have to invite the rest of the candidates to the show.
Let them come.
I have to invite the rest of by the state of Tennessee, by law, by every name in the radio station, I have to invite the other people. Just about rules, but glad to have you here, JB Smiley. Hey, hope I can work on your campaign. I'm waiting for it. Anything we can do here at WPTP, we'll be more than happy to push you forward. And me personally, I get in on you because I'm a hype man.
Yeah.
That's what I do. If you need me, I'm going to show up. I'm going to in Memphis, whatever. I'm going to come just tell me what it is. But make sure you stop by Nashville.
Absolutely.
Please, before you leave, Nashville got a lot of outdoor events. And then you need to hit every event you can. I don't care how big, how small it is. Sometimes the small events get you in there.
Small events are impactful.
Yeah, because I'm serious. Yeah, you might think it's big and all that. That's just for show. That's just for sure. I've been there, did it there. I didn't get this far in life by somebody big. I got this far in life being self-made. And I challenge you about it. But it is a privilege and honor to have you on our show, man. A black man running for governor. So how many people running for governor?
So, Democratic side is 3. The Republican side it was 3. Now it's down to 1. So it's a total of 4 of us running.
Well, you have to worry about it. You're going to be the Democratic.
And
so when it get eye to eye, neck to neck, the ball rolls.
I tell people from this, I'm from Memphis. That means I fight.
The M-Town. And congratulations to Memphis for allowing y'all to share this young man with us today and to the JB Smiley campaign. This is the man, Sunlight Man T. Boston. Hey, we'll see you. May God bless you. May he keep you and may he strengthen you. And thank God, y'all go vote for JB Smiley on July the 15th through the 30th. It's early voting. And the primary is August the 4th, 2022. How many polls is going to be there?
So it's all across the state, 95 counties. So early voting begins July 15th. Tell a friend to tell 10, go vote, and we can make some changes.
Tell a friend, tell 10, tell a friend. Okay, tell a friend, tell 10. So 1 tell 10 is 11 going to the polls.
Absolutely.
I love y'all, man. May God bless you. Tony Boston. See you later. Bye.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound, oh Lord, where I'm bound.
I'm JB Smiley Jr. I grew up singing this song in church. You may know it as well. While the melodies may differ, its message of peace, freedom, and justice for all people unites us as Tennesseans. I grew up in Memphis, in one of the poorest zip codes in the state. But my shot out was perfecting this shot and going to college on both an academic and basketball scholarship. Then I got a law degree to help give back, and I am proudly serving my community on the Memphis City Council. I decided to run for governor because right now there are too many shots fired, not enough shots given, and too few shots for our young people to reach their full potential. As governor, I will reduce crime by implementing a robust community policing program. I will encourage folks across this state to do right by each other. That means getting vaccinated. And I will make it a priority to give our young people a real shot at success. So today, I'm hoping you all will come and go with me. Let's go build a better Tennessee together.